Good afternoon, guys. Um, have you all ever heard the words, the phrase, it's not what you said, but the way that you said it? A lot of times, the words that we use, the words that we choose, can carry a different weight than what you might first think. Um, it can skew the way your ideas come across. Um, we're talking about something here called connotation and denotation. The denotation of a word is the actual dictionary definition, the dictionary definition of that word. It's what you're gonna see when you pick this guy up and you look up a word. However, certain words have a connotation. A connotation can be a positive or a negative mental, emotional, or otherwise image of the idea that you're trying to put across. For example, February 14th was my dad's birthday, and my brother went out and bought my dad a cheap watch for his birthday. Think about that idea. Think about the word that was used to describe the watch and what it brings up in your mind. Now, compare that with February 14th was my dad's birthday. My brother went out and bought him an inexpensive watch for his birthday. This time, the word inexpensive was used rather than cheap. What is the effect of that? Discuss it amongst yourselves and come up and tell me what you think the difference is between describing the watch as cheap as opposed to inexpensive. All right, what are some of y'all's ideas? What does the word cheap bring to mind? What images do you get when you think of the word cheap? Okay, some of you are saying it's not well made. It didn't cost a lot. Something that's not going to last very long. It gives us the impression that something is of poor quality and poor build, and it's not going to last. It's not well made. On the other hand, if you look at the images that come up when you describe it as inexpensive, it essentially makes you feel like it's something that was purchased on a budget. It's something that wasn't extravagant, but it's still solid. It's still good. It just didn't cost a whole lot. You see how one of them has a more negative connotation than the other. Although when you actually look at the words, the connotation is very similar. They mean pretty much the same thing. It's just that one brings a different image to your mind. Now, think about this one. Susie has a really happy personality. Now, contrast that with Susie's always such a bubbly person. She's always laughing and smiling and laughing. Look at the difference between happy and bubbly. They both mean something very similar, but one of them is so much more so. How about frustrated versus cranky. Frustrated versus cranky. Look at these two words in your groups and give me some ideas of what comes to mind when you look at those words. When you describe somebody as being frustrated versus when you describe them as being cranky. Okay, so frustrated is gives you an idea that somebody is focused on something. They're trying to get something accomplished. They're maybe under time pressure. They're trying to get things done while dealing with a whole bunch of different outside factors. Cranky just sounds like somebody's in a bad mood, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like somebody is just not pleasant to be around? Somebody who's short-tempered and ill-mannered. Although both of them show up in very much the same way. Take a look at another word. Studious versus nerdy. Johnny's such a studious student. His grades are always really high, and he always knows the answers in class. Versus Johnny's such a nerdy student. He always seems to know the answers, and the teachers are always picking him to respond. Look at the difference between studious and nerdy. Which one of them sounds more positive? Which one of them sounds more, I don't know, I guess, negative? Discuss that amongst yourselves, and then tell me what you think. So when you think of the word studious, what comes to mind? Maybe somebody who's focused on their studies, somebody who's focused on what they're doing in school. They're dedicated to coming up with their best performance in class. Nerdy sometimes seems like it's somebody who's socially awkward. They don't know how to get along with people. So it's again a different connotation. Let's take a look at a couple of words here. We'll work in small groups. We'll work in pairs. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to read a few sentences to you. You'll be in groups of four. We'll break you out in your groups of four, and you will respond in the chat box, giving me your answer as to which of these two words has the most positive connotation to it, as I read you a sentence and ask you to fill in the blank. The first one. Our trip to the amusement park was blank. A, fine, or B, wonderful. Our trip to the amusement park, is it going to be fine or wonderful? Make your choice. If you look at these words, fine and wonderful, both of them mean something similar. Both of them mean something similar. But when you're describing a trip to an amusement park, are you going to say, it was fine? Or was it, our trip to the amusement park was wonderful? Which one is more positive? Right, it's wonderful. How about we saw blank animals in the animal house? Fascinating or weird? We saw fascinating animals in the animal house, or we saw weird animals in the animal house. Fascinating is something that sparks interest. It makes you want to know more about what you're looking at. Makes you want to learn more about the animals, right? So look at the way the two different words describe what you're trying to explain. Now, for this activity, adapting this to a virtual environment would not be difficult. We could use chat boxes, and students can explain why they've chosen the selection that they've chosen. I'd have them waterfall their answers by typing in the answers, but not sending them in until they're told to do so. This can also be adapted virtually by using breakout rooms and jam boards for their responses. I'd have students work in small groups. Students such as Matthew, Blaze, Kylie, Adeline, Luther, and Josefina would work in a small group in a breakout room with me on the independent activity. Other students would be paired up with advanced and non-proficient students and proficient and non-proficient students in order for them to get peer tutoring down. Proficient and non-proficient students paired up in groups would have a commonly used word list and access to a dictionary in order to complete the tasks. After approximately 10 minutes of working with a small group, I would release the students to work with the rest of the class using additional supports such as dictionaries and thesauruses while I check for understanding with the other students. After going over everything with the classes, with the students in class, I would bring them up to their exit tickets. Their exit tickets would be to write me 2 sentences using positive connotations, and then 2 more sentences using negative connotations to see how the words they choose affect the ideas that they're trying to communicate. Thank you very much.